everybody. Thanks so much for coming here and actually being on time. That's awesome. Always keeping people as they're flowing in. But no, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is the Q&A with Jim&Jim. First thing has to be Jim to be able to be part of this show. It's kind of the stipulations. He cares about storage experience. You got to be named Jim. So yeah, no, it's very free flowing. If you have questions, please put it in chat. And if you're game, I'll bring you up so you can actually talk face to face and with any questions. If there's no questions, hey, we always have something to riff on and talk. So hopefully here to bring some value and a little networking back and forth. So this is great. So thank you for joining me, Jim.
Oh, it's always welcome. So who's all headed in the world? Who's all headed to SSA next week in DC? Put it in chat if you're going to be there. I know I'm going to be there, and a lot of us are talking about being there. So it'd kind of be cool to get together. It's kind of Florida was the first one, but SSA Spring is kind of there. So
I'll be skipping that one. I'll be in Vegas in April, right? April, yeah. So
yeah, I'll be there. We have to grab dinner or something, catch up. So it's crazy.
It's such a blur. You go to those shows.
It is. I've had my phone and email have been ringing about dinner plans in DC and who's got what, and of course everybody wants Wednesday night, and I've had 5 dinner invites for Wednesday night. I'm like, sorry guys, we're booked, and so now I got different things going on. So, but
aren't you Mr. Popular?
Yeah, absolutely. But it was funny because I had a thought about it last night. We're always working, always thinking. And, I finished an article last week for Stephanie at the SSA for a magazine, or I don't know what she's doing. And she wanted one on hiring and training. And I kind of laughed and chuckled when she said that. So I got a funny story to tell you. I said, a couple of years ago, we were talking at one of the state association meetings, and we were talking about hiring people. I said to the room, I'm going to say something that most people in the room are not going to be happy with.
Uh-oh.
And I said, I can tell you, I do not hire people with self-storage experience. I don't. I would rather hire somebody with sales background, customer service, all those things, and then we could teach the nuances of what we do. And I'm not saying, people come with preconceived ideas, right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's a lot easier for me to train somebody on our systems than try to untrain or change somebody's mind on something else.
Yeah, no, I've had that experience with a couple of people that come to mind that have come from other. Part of it's I think it's like a shortcut. I remember my mindset back then going, oh, they already got the experience, this will be easy. But then I would get kind of push back of being like, well, at our previous company we did this. It was a lot of second guessing.
Well, then I started thinking about I started thinking about when we take over stores and we acquire stores, and how many stores have we acquired, Jim, over the years? I mean, hundreds, whatever. And I started thinking back about people because usually when we acquire a store or buy a store, whatever, we try very hard to have them not ruffle as much as we can. So we'll keep managers or associates or whatever you're calling them at that location. And I can tell you, historically, they're going to leave us before we leave them, just because they don't like certain, however it works. And it really started getting me thinking on, how is that for the rest of the industry? I mean, you've gone through this as much as I have. What's your thoughts on it?
As far as hiring people with previous experience?
Well, and even that, but when you take over a store, what is the percentage of people that actually stay long-term with you after the transition?
Very low. It's very low.
And why do you think it is?
And it's by no means of trying to push anybody out. So I'll give everyone a clean slate. Cool, let's go for it. I would say probably 70% end up, not for me, and move on. It kind of goes both ways, frankly.
I think it's more they leave me than we leave them. Because when we take over, like a prime example, we just picked up a store in Alabama, and Angela's the manager there. She's with us right now. I want the knowledge she has in her head of the customer base of the facility, of all those things, because she knows them better than any of us right now. So, and we've made her life better that we've done certain things at the, with the, as far as payments, and we don't waive late fees and things like that have made things better. So hopefully it's going to work out. But it really got me thinking about that, and we're looking at resumes right now. My area manager called me and said, I got one that's got a public storage background. They were there for 5 years. I'm like, I'm not sure. I said, put it to the side. We'll go through the resumes and all that. But it's there. It's interesting. So it's kind of wanted to get a feel for the industry and what we're doing. I mean, we all learn from each other.
I got a question for you. Again, as we're sitting here blabbing on, if you guys got questions that pop up, put it in chat. So please just speak up there. But you were talking about, hiring. Just curious, because again, we're all here to learn from each other. What's kind of your guys' hiring process? You put out a big cattle call and then kind of go through the filter of the interview process? What do you guys do?
So yeah, we're actually going through that right now for 2 stores. And remember, Jim, we run hubs, so we're trying to find somebody who can come into an existing hub and be part of the team. So we got 2 hubs we're hiring for right now. We use Indeed for our ads. We found good success with Indeed. We tweaked the ad over the years here, on certain things. But I can tell you that it's a tedious process because, like we're right now, one of my area managers, we got 76 resumes in a day and a half.
Oh, crap.
So Jim, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You talked about, you mentioned that you got an application or some response from somebody that worked for, I think it was Public Storage, or whoever they worked for, somebody with previous storage experience is not high on your list. And I 100% get that. I've had that problem myself. I don't have great self-storage experience. I have no self-storage experience, but I have 35 years of experience in other kinds of real estate. What is one thing that individual that worked at Public Storage or whatever can say or do to tip your thinking to the point that maybe this person is open-minded and capable of moving from their entrenched experience to joining our team and working our way?
Well, I think you kind of said the statement in your question. It's the open-mindedness and willing to change, because one of the phrases that I hate more than anything that I hear everywhere when I'm consulting is, well, that's the way we've always done it. And that just drives me crazy, because we're constantly evolving, and somebody comes in that's very starch and adamant in what they think, it should be for them. It's hard. We have talked to people that have storage experience, and a lot of times, even when we're doing interviews, sometimes we've had to do them on Zoom versus in person, just because we need a remote location we're trying to hire for, we're not there. But for me, body language is critical. Reading the body language of somebody and how they interact and in the interview process is key for me. I can usually tell within 10 minutes of talking to somebody if they're going to be a fit for us or not.
It's funny. I learned that lesson 30 some odd years ago. I think it was 20 some odd years ago, 30 some odd years ago, when my father retired. He'd worked for one company for 30 plus years of his life, and his last 5 years of employment were for a different company. He got forced into early retirement in the company that he'd spent 30 plus years with, and he went and got another job. He wasn't ready to retire. And at his retirement party, that was like the buzz line of everybody in the room, was apparently my father had this entrenched reputation of, well, that's not the way we did it at the company that he used to work with. Apparently he drove everybody crazy with that.
No, and there are, Gail, I see on here that you lost your job for, on site and all that. There are some people out there, and I can tell you that I have hired from storage people in the past. I can probably count on one hand or two hands the number we've done over the years that have worked out for us. But unfortunately, historically, if we try that, a lot of times it doesn't work. And it's not because what the old company did was right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just not our philosophy. And sometimes that's the biggest key, Jim, is understanding, what we want out of an operation versus, another company.
Yep. Now I'm all for giving, like I said, blank slate, give everyone a shot. And when I'm doing those, kind of going back to the Indeed interviews, and especially if they've had experience in the past, and I'm doing the Zoom interviews, doing the kind of the cattle call, I'll treat those interviews a little bit differently because they've had the experience, frankly. And I just want to kind of see if they have a good understanding of just, like the KPIs, key performance indicators of, would you do when it comes to your occupancy, kind of their sales process, kind of walking them through that. And if they have a great understanding already of the foundation, like cool, then we have something to build on.
You're right. The questions are definitely different because I'll even throw out some ones on how they handle certain situations we deal with on an everyday basis, and see how they handle those things. And I'll never forget, I had a manager, loved her, she was a great lady, but she thought everybody was her friend. And whenever we came around to rate increases or late fees or things like that, well, no, you got to take care of them. You got to waive their late fees because they're my friends and they come back. And I remember I had a conversation one day. I said to her, Gene, I said, when these people who are quote unquote your friends move out, how often do they come back to see you? And she stopped and she goes,
yeah,
they don't. I said, so are they really your friends or are they using you while they're here?
No, totally true. I want, before we move on to another topic real quick. So Indeed works out for you as far as doing the
and again, you got
that for a last little while. So I like Indeed. What about the charges that they charge for the applicants that come through, or do you kind of I skirt around it and I just tell them they weren't good applicants and I move on, but I save their email and contact them because
we go through them. Again, it's kind of the cost of doing business. We found some good ones. Yeah. And I always make sure that, one of the biggest things we're running into again is, and it frustrates you is you go through the process, you read through skim through all the resumes, find out the ones you want. Then you got another pile, you go back through them and a little more in depth and looking for them. Then you're going to call and you're going to schedule the interview, whether in person or Zoom. You get them all scheduled up and then they don't show.
About half.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when I go back to Indeed and say, hey, schedule an interview, never showed, but it's a tedious process, but you don't want to overpass somebody because you didn't look at their resume. So it's a process. Right now I have 2 area managers that help me with the process. They'll go through our resumes first and look, and then we will, circulate them to me and the other one, and we'll look at them, see what we think about them. And then we'll try to do the process. And the interview usually is 1 or 2 is in the interview process. And if I'm not around, I'll do a phone interview or a Zoom interview after the fact, like a follow-up, say, hey, Jim, how'd the interview go? Any questions we forgot to ask, things like that. But asking some of the pertinent questions, and when you ask a question and you get an answer that really shocks you, I don't think a lot will shock us anymore, Jim. But I mean, I had one girl I interviewed and I said, so if I was to call any of these 3 previous employers to, give me a good word about you, and she goes, well, you can't call this one.
Selective. Yeah.
And then and I said, why? She goes, well, I was sleeping with the boss and I got caught. And the other one's like, I got, I embezzled from that company. I'm like, why would you list them on your resume?
That's insane.
People, but interview it's tedious. And tell you what, Jim, even with the interview, it's a crapshoot because certain people can interview very well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I wanted. We're no experts here, and it's totally a roll of the dice. Even you can have interview great, think it's I got a rock star, it can still fizzle out. It happens. It's not a perfect science when it comes to hiring. But I will say I kind of hire slow and fire fast. I've just learned, like, once there's already some warning signs ahead of time, you've kind of gone through and it's a couple write-ups. It's a pretty quick out the door kind of a thing, because warning
the one we're replacing
their head. You always look back 2020 and like, oh, I could have done this 6 months ago.
Well, the one we're replacing right now, she was a recent hire in January, and we've actually now taken the approach that everybody who comes in on a 60 or 90-day probation period.
Yeah.
And they don't get the so if we're say we're hiring at 17 an hour, we might start at 16 an hour and say after your probation period, you get the other dollar. That gives us a chance to figure out if we like them or if they like us. Because we've all had people to hire and say, it's not what I thought it was going to be, and we're going to pass. So we go through the process, but they're not fully vetted for 90 days. And then after the 90 days, that's when they start accruing PTO and all the other things. But we want to see how they're going to act in the first 90 days. I mean,
no, true.
And go from there.
Did you have your hand raised, Steve? Like
you know what I was going to say, what Ryan Jimmy Hogan put here in the text exactly. I had sat in a session on hiring virtual assistants, and the guy that was leading this hiring virtual assistants said, you're going to find out that if you set up a process, a whole bunch of those 70 people will disqualify themselves just by not following the instructions in the application process. So set up an application, and Jimmy put it spot on exact. He probably sat in the same session that I did because he's got it down to a T here. If you're reading the chat, Ryan, Jimmy, I'll let you take over. Your comments there are perfect. Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, if it's Neil Bawa on the multifamily, but the Jimmy part was just from this morning, just from earlier. Jim Ross said you had to be Jim to be part of this meeting, so I quickly added Jimmy in quotes there. So that won't be there after this meeting. But thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
I used to do a thing where when I would do the cal calls and be like, if you're interested, send an email to this email address, put in the subject line something specific. And yeah, they couldn't do that one simple instruction. Cool. That was like my first little flake filter that I would go through, and just doing something as simple as that was a little indicative if they would be able to, just simple follow through, simple instructions, that kind of thing, just to get, the foot in the door. So that was something I used to do. Back in the day, I used to do something even more. I would have like 3 different kind of hoops before they would talk to anybody. But even doing something initial, as simple as send an email with the subject line, to me that's been a great initial flake filter of going through a lot of people, because kind of like what Jim was saying, I've been getting bombarded when I've been putting stuff up for like Indeed. This can't find people right now. I don't know where that's coming from, but holy crap, I'm getting bombarded with resumes.
Well, it's interesting. One of the things that I've seen a couple lately is I've actually had people that will send a follow-up email or a thank you voicemail for doing the interview. And that to me speaks volumes.
Yep, exactly.
I just want to comment how Jim wants to fire me. He doesn't even, I don't even work for him. Just messing around.
You're out here, Anthony. You're done. I'm glad to see you on here. All right. Any other questions coming in? Let me look real quick. What else is on your mind, Jim, as I'm looking through chat here?
Just like I said, I'm looking forward to it's March. It's we're gonna have hopefully some nice weather here. We're gonna be in DC in next week with our friends and colleagues, and then I got spring trainings around the corner for me, and opening day for baseball is coming, so I'm pumped. So
all right, maybe just for you, I'll actually watch a baseball game in your honor. I don't know. It's gonna take a lot. Maybe 10 minutes. I'll watch 10 minutes of a baseball game.
So Sherry just commented here. Sherry, you want to hop on? How many resumes are actually qualified? And I can tell you the last one I went through, I had 120 resumes, and I whittled it down to about 27 that were actually in the field. I had, and you're very specific. You need sales, customer service, computer experience, and I'm getting forklift drivers. I'm getting prison guards. I'm getting, warehouse guys. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. Obviously, if they can't read the job description, that's your first indication you might not want to talk to them.
Exactly. We get resumes all the time, and it's not a matter of people wanting to, read reply to your ad, but it's how many people are actually qualified. So out of all of those that come in, how many people are qualified, how many people will schedule an interview, and how many people will show up to that interview. So you may get 200 and wind up with 3. Out of the 3, how many show up? 1?
Jims, what is it with the no-shows on interviews? What is that?
Golly, crazy people.
I really wish I could report them to the unemployment. And I found out from somebody who was actually honest with me that they have to, on their unemployment paperwork, they have to put down how many jobs they've applied to, and they have to list, companies, whatever they're applying to. So they're just going through applying stuff and doing these things to satisfy unemployment. It's crazy. But Sherry, I'll give you a funny one. Years ago, we had a store in Philadelphia, brand new store we're opening up, and we actually put a big sign out front saying now hiring. And a guy walked in, we're still in construction phase, right? He walks in, hey, I'm looking, I saw your sign now hiring. I said, great, we're only taking resumes through email right now. He goes, okay, you got a pen and paper. I said, I thought he was going to write down our email address, whatever. He started writing down his resume. I'm like, no, you need to send it to us via email. He goes, you mean on a computer? I'm like, yeah.
Red flag. Adios.
Next. All right. I want to make sure we're looking at the chat too, because again, we're just kind of going on this tangent of hiring and all that. But please, any questions, go ahead.
So Michael just asked a good one. What if they have sales and customer service experience? But no, Michael, I will talk to that person any day of the week. Look. Self-storage is not rocket science. We can train, I usually say we can train anybody how to rent a unit, but you can't train the personality behind the counter. So if you got good sales, customer service, and people skills, we can teach you how to rent storage units. If you can't talk to people, you don't like to talk to people, it's not the right spot for you.
All right, I want to hit on Deborah's question here. We'll switch gears here for a second. Vandalism. She's seen crime and vandalism more at her location. Interesting. I don't know if you want to come on, Deborah, or talk any more specifically. I'm just curious if it's kind of a general thing or a specific thing that's happening over and over and over again. But yeah, I mean, it's part of storage. I hate to be like, oh, it's storage. It happens when it comes to break-ins. I just took over a site in Amarillo in the very first week. We had like 10 units break in. Like, here we go.
But Jim, it could be simple things. Like I can tell you, we had a store in North Carolina in Winston-Salem, and we were having break-ins on the fence line. And we're trying, and they're not. All they're doing is cutting the fence line, coming through, and really just causing chaos. Right? They're not really hurting anything. We actually changed out our camera system. And we use some cameras, night owl cameras, and they actually have a deterrent light. So we put cameras on the side of the building facing the fence line.
Yeah.
And when we made that change and the deterrent lights came on, it stopped. So I think some of it is having a good presence on your property, good signage, good cameras. And I tell you, even on my remote stores, all of my teams, when they're on property, they have a shirt, and we use the bright colors, the fluorescent yellow, orange, green, whatever. It says, the logo on the front says staff on the back. So when they're doing their walkthroughs or picking up trash or sweeping out units, there's somebody there. And I think, and a lot of them, for whatever reason, we have people that work different hours every day because of their personal life, which is fine by me. But having a presence on the property and having cameras on the property and keeping it clean sometimes can go a long way from deterring, activity where people think is unattended all the time.
And I'll add one more layer to that. Because I have a site here in South Salt Lake that you pretty much have to know got to know your gang signs and stuff to be able to get through the gate, because it's a bad area. Look, quick story. It was the site that I first managed. Kind of crazy. It hasn't gone away. I started as a manager at the site, and now I run it as a management company. It's been with me for 20 plus years. It was my first week as a storage manager at this location, and all gun ho, and I was ready to do my walkthroughs, had my clipboard and going to the first unit. That's weird. There's no lock on it. It's rented. Next unit. That's weird. There's no lock on it. It's rented. they went down 50 units. The whole row broke in. And I was like, I called my boss. I'm like, is this normal? He's like, what the crap? Yeah, I was freaking. So I'm desensitized to it, I guess, when it comes to break-ins. But this location, we put in the cameras. Obviously, that's very important. The ones that have motion detection, so the lights come on, great. But now they have the cameras where you can pre-program a voice on it and just be like, this is after hours, what are you doing? Blah 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 blah. Enough to make people like, oh crap, and they leave. So that's been nice. And they're again, cameras and all that, it's cheap now for that kind of stuff. So at least on the front gate, on the back, we all have trouble areas, people cut fences and stuff like that to go through to be able to put those cameras. But yeah, with a light that comes on and that voice activation, that's helped. As simple as that sounds.
Night Owl's got a thing you can activate. So when it's the motion smile, you're on camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It goes a long way. I mean, it really does. I mean, break-ins I remember back when Storage Wars first became popular on TV, we were on all the auctions.
Yeah.
We had a property where they cut 22 yellow locks. They didn't realize yellow meant vacant.
They weren't the smartest.
No, they're still not. But it's interesting. It goes, but being diligent, and Anthony, you and I had this conversation on one of the calls we did about being diligent on your property, make sure people know you're there and checking your gate logs. I mean, we just switched all our gate access from 24-hour to 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I had a guy very upset with the manager, screaming and yelling, calling. I got on the phone with the guy. I said, sir, I've looked at your gate log. I said, in the 18 months you've been here, you've never been here past 6 o'clock at night. Why do you need 24-hour access? Well, I want it. I said, why? He had no good reason. He just thought it was his right to have it. I'm like, look, we talk about all the time. Nothing good happens at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the sites that, same thing, okay, 6 to 10, got your gate hours, it's mounted 6 to 10. But when they come in, are they allowed to get out after 10? I've seen some that says like an open loop because they don't want to get people stuck in. I've had other ones being like, nope, 10 o'clock, that's cut off. If you're in there after 10, tough luck, you're calling the cops to get out.
We have some of our properties have keypads in and out. Most of our properties have the loops that are free exit loops. But our managers are trained that they're looking at the gate logs now to see if anybody's coming in late, and we're kind of calling people, reminding them they got to be out by 10 o'clock because so. But again, being vigilant on your property and watching your property, I think goes a long way. Anthony's got his hand up. What's up, Anthony?
So I kind of want to, if Deborah could come on and kind of explain like where the question come from, that can give us more context. That's what I was looking for. And I appreciate you guys. I know I haven't been on, I've been able to jump on, and that's why I saw it today. Thank you guys for sending a reminder. Yeah, Michelle, depends on the site. Awesome. Just some suggestions if anybody's having problems and stuff like that, contact your local police, the local enforcement, and encourage them if it's late, if you're having issues at night or whatever else, have them set up a speed trap. Tell them, please set up a speed trap right in front. If you're on a busier thoroughway, just having that presence there is one. And that's what we have the local, we're kind of more rural, but we have the local sheriff, and then they've contacted me, and I've built good relationships with them, and tell them, hey, you are more than welcome to sit on the property anytime you want to. And just like you guys were talking, if it's a remotely run facility, whether remotely or if it's managed, to have the cameras that you can talk back and forth with. And I've done that before, where I've had, to give you guys an example, I had a gentleman who, we all get crazy stories, but my notifications kept going off that something was going on at the property, and this was like at 9:30, 10:30 at night for like an hour. So I looked at my cameras, and the guy was changing oil in the front parking lot. I jumped on the cameras, on the intercom and the cameras, and turned the alarms on the cameras. So if you have cellular cameras or different ones that you can, whatever you can buy, I turned the alarms off to get it on to get his attention. He turned around, and I asked him, you need to please go. If not, I am going to go ahead and call the sheriff. And that's what I ended up doing, is calling the sheriff and have the sheriff roll by there and asking him to leave. So
I mean, you're right. And then Laura made a good thing about the K9 units. I've done that many times, had the police come through K9 units, drug testing, see it out there. But like Anthony said, I will make sure all the police, where we're at, have a gate code that if they're doing paperwork and they want a place, they got to sit for, pull in there, drive around the property. Be my guest. They have full access to all of it, and that's a great deterrent. And having the visibility on the property, not knowing when they're going to be there, is great. So,
I've been surprised. That's always one of the first things on my checklist when I'm taking over a location is, where's the nearest police station, of letting them know, hey, we're right here. Happy, here's our gate code. When you guys are driving by, I would love just a drive through. And I'm surprised how many of them are like, all right, cool, we'll do it. And you have to kind of keep up on it. You don't want to just do it once and forget about it, but they'll do drive-throughs as they're doing goals.
We're doing it all. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim, I'm going to look into the night owl because I like the idea of the motion sensor lights in addition to the well-lit facilities we already have. But I mean, they're either jumping over fences, they're jumping over gates, they're cutting gates, they're rolling under gates, they're renting units. We've had recently tenants that rent units and come in, and it's hideous. It's just, and if it was just one location, I would I would think, yeah, we have a problem there, but it's spread out between Ohio and Colorado. And somebody climbed over a wall of a climate control unit in Colorado. It just feels as though we have somebody taking crowbars to units in Colorado. I mean, just hideous, destructive, expensive. So I just wondered, if can't be just us.
no, Deborah, it's not.
We definitely have some weaknesses, and I liken it to like the TSA. Every time there's an issue, we find a vulnerability, we stop it, right? But then thieves, make us, reveal another one. So it's like a never-ending game of throwing money after something that may never happen again, right? But we're trying to fortify.
It
So
feels like whack-a-mole after a while. it just does. And again, we could throw all the different things at you, like try this. Unfortunately, if people want to break in, they find ways. They're gonna figure out ways to get into a unit, do what they want to do. Sometimes it's just being destructive for the sake of being destructive. That's the worst ones, like the crowbar thing. I've had that.
Locks are meant to keep good, honest people out. Deborah, I can tell you, we had a problem with people crawling under the gate. We actually bought a speed bump from Chateau and put a speed bump under the entire length of the gate. That way, when the gate opens, they can't get under the gate. And it slows them down driving through the gate.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm doing that today. I don't know if you saw my comment. Somebody took our electric meters Monday morning. And, so the facility is completely dark, no cameras. And I had to leave it shut overnight, close it down because I can't let people in I can't leave gates open. Just horrible. They just popped them off the building. And I don't know if they did it to test so they can come back later and do it again. But anyway, thank you all very much for your help.
Jim, there's a good question I think it's from Deanie Burns. How do you recommend we add value to the community and support local city government? Is there anything you can do or recommend? Again, I just think, like you said, Jim, make sure we introduce ourselves if you're in a new township or city, going down to call the police out, make sure they have a gate code. They understand that you're there. You're an owner that wants to take care of the property. We're not just going to be an eyesore. We want to be a valuable part of the community and make sure that they understand we're there to assist them as well.
Yeah, because I mean, trust me, they're very full aware of the trouble sites in their location. They know where the drugs are going down and where the hookers are doing their stuff, and they know there's certain trouble sites. So I'm always been like, hey, we're above board. We're here to help you out as much as possible for that kind of stuff. Someone mentioned about doing the K9 training. Always raise your hand for that kind of a thing. Some areas will do the K9 trainings. Those are always a fun when you see those happening.
I think it's good lights help. I mean, when most of the properties we now have, we sell locks at all of them, but we only sell the disc lock, and the disc lock's waiting for you in the unit. So now when you go through one of my properties, we're, unless they return the lock and put a regular one, but if I see somebody's got one of those small chintzy little padlocks, I'm going to call them and say, look, that's not acceptable. You need to have a better lock, because people see things that are easy targets, but around disc locks are high, people can cut doors, whatever, but we're going to say, you need to have a quality lock on your door, and this does not qualify.
Yeah, you're inviting trouble when there's like a little suitcase lock on the units. Yeah, it's way too tempting.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, do you guys know? I know there's a company, and this is kind of like to the extreme, but it is costly. But what is the company that monitors cameras for you?
Oh, is it OpenEye?
OpenEye, something like that. Yeah,
I think they're affiliated with Open Tech Alliance, but I think it's called OpenEye, where they will monitor your camera system.
Yeah, and there's a few services out
There's
there.
a few like that, but yes.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring that up, so one of my good friends who was my assistant now, he's a DTL for X. She's still at Extra Space. He's out in California, where they're having issues, and so that's one of the things they had to do at that particular Extra Space is they had to hire that company. And he, I talked to him every couple of weeks or so, and then he said ever since they did that, it's basically gone away. The drug problems and the problems that they were having, because the person, if they don't identify themselves, they call the police right away.
Yeah, it's and I believe Extra Space rolled it out at a number of locations a few years ago now, so it's probably even more. But yeah, it's interesting because it's kind of an AI kind of a deal, so it'll tag when things are unusual. And
we've done it where if we got a gate problem, we'll actually hire a security patrol to drive through periodically. We got a problem with a gate for a couple of days. That way everybody knows we're watching what's going on. So there are a lot of things you can do, but I think the simple things, like Jim, you said, quality lights and quality cameras and good signage goes a long way.
All right, what else we got on here? Shannon, I think it's just a comment. It's not an industry specific, but ADT has been doing that for years. It's not cheap, but if it stops the cycle and word gets out that your store isn't an easy target anymore, it's worth it. Yeah, it's.
So I got a question for the room. What are we? I mean, I know we're getting ready for lease up season. We're prime for lease up season. What are you guys seeing as far as traffic? I see. I'm going to call Trisha because I see her on here from 5 Star. So Trisha, what are you seeing? Are you still got snow covered out there in North Dakota, or what are you guys seeing for as far as inquiries up your way?
We did not have any snow, but we did accomplish the biggest swing in temperature in history for the state on Monday of 60 degrees. So it went from 61 to 0 with a minus 17 wind chill on Monday and about 5 inches of snow. But it's 50 today and it's melting good. So
again, you can keep it. Tell Ben it's all his.
I will. So what was your question, Jim?
Inquiries. Are you seeing, how are your volume of inquiries? What are you seeing right now as far as inquiries for your stores in North Dakota and Minnesota?
Not, I mean, it's coming around slowly. We are at a plus, above ground for number of move-ins for February, compared to move outs. So that was a bonus.
But nobody wants to move to North Dakota in February.
People move to North Dakota all the time. It's a great place to be. So yeah, I mean, I see our inquiries are going up. We have a call center now. Our call center has been busy. We've done a lot of conversion in the last 6 weeks, so we have been busy with that. But we are getting the inquiries for move-ins. So yeah, business is starting to pick up again.
Very good. We talk about it all the time that our inquiries are down year over year. So we have to, but we're getting probably better quality inquiries now because we can close them. We have some units available to rent. So making sure you're on top of that. And, we still use the mystery shop. I just sit around the mystery shops from all my stores. And I'm proud the average score was like an 89.5 on the mystery shop score. So they all did pretty well. But being the responsive, I know I see Shannon on here from XPS, and I'm going to put her on the spot. I mean, you guys are, Are you guys seeing an uptick in call volume right now for leads, or what do you for calls?
Calls per store are down also. However, we've added more automated services, so it's kind of hard to tell. Like we're counting like live agent phone calls, but there's lots and lots of interactions that are not live people. But no, I would say when I'm looking at clients and doing audits of multiple years, you can actually see, I mean, you guys know it was crazy fun in 2021, right? And it's just not 2021 anymore, boys.
Well, I see Christina Powell here from Storage Lee. I'm going to kind of put her on. Christina, if you can hop on, what are you seeing as far as internet traffic on your websites right now? Oh, she's on there. I see her on there. I don't know if she's on there or not, but yeah, muted.
We'll see.
But Max, what are you seeing down in the great state of Georgia?
As far as call inquiries, we're seeing a little bit more website inquiries, not as much. But I will tell you the Google My Business ads are working because people are definitely clicking over because we get the recording. Hey, this is a call from Google Ads. So that's definitely working.
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I think the biggest thing we talk about all the time, Jimmy, you and I have had this conversation. We had a whole hour session about just lead tracking and the follow-up and all that stuff. I mean, you preach it as much as I do, the importance of following up on that every lead that comes in and how fast you respond. I had a slide in one of my sessions that really shows the drop-off in the timeline from when the lead starts when you contact them, how it drops off on closing percentages.
Oh, it's like a 2-day thing, isn't it? I mean, you got about 2 days to strike while the iron's hot. Otherwise, yeah, they're gone, moving on. No one's calling for storage a week ahead of time when they need it. They need it now. So definite follow-ups. Just curious, like when you are doing your follow-ups, is it do it a number of different ways? Are you doing text, email, phone call, kind of hitting all bases?
We're phone calls and we're emails, and we actually created an email follow-up campaign that we're gonna, so if you inquire, we're gonna send you a lead right away to try to convert it. Then we're gonna call you, and 2 days later we're gonna follow up again, but we're gonna grab that first email and re-forward it to you, but with a short blurb. Hey, we want to earn your business. What can we do to earn your business? And keep the thread going, because I don't want to have my managers retype something out there, but I want to keep it relevant and all. The theme. What can we do to earn your business? What do you need from us? What can we do to help? Those things. So, but by trying to do that, I think it really keeps going. But communicating with them the way they want to be communicated with, I think, is big.
Have you ever tested out, as far as the follow-ups go, kind of sweetening the pot a little bit, being like, oh, we've added a new special to this unit we talked about, or we dropped our price a little bit? Have you tested that out to see if that helps with conversions?
We actually just did we actually just changed our admin fee come March 1st. Oh. So one of our pushes for the last week of February was, hey, because with us being a first month billing company, especially the discounts are 50% of your first full 2 months or whatever's out there. Hey, Jim, tell you what, the admin fee's gone from 25 to 29 on March 1st. But if you rent now, you save there. But if you rent now, you're going to pay that small prorate coming, and you'll get March and April for your 50% instead of waiting for April and May. So explaining how the process works and how you can help save them a little bit of money up front. We actually got some people that rented on the 28th and 29th to make sure they got the full month, because they're only going to stay for 2 months, which is haha. But they got April and May, March and April at their half price because they rented on the 28th or 29th.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's the attention to detail. I think that a lot of people don't.
So I'm going to share this real quick. I found this slide here. I want to show you guys. It says it right here. Lead response time, 82% in 0 to 30 minutes. And here, 48 hours later, goes down to 33%.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I'm surprised it's not even more, honestly.
Well, again, that's not a self-storage statistic. That is a sales statistic in general. I couldn't find one for storage per se, but I think it kind of goes along, you know. Christine is back here. If you want to hop on, Christine, you can answer that question about the traffic for the websites.
Yeah, so can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So interestingly enough, we're working on some case studies right now, and we pulled 15 locations that we recently onboarded, some statistics on that back in January. So they were fully onboarded in January. And like our abandoned rental tool, 48, they had 48 abandoned rentals with 26 of them recovered, which is 54%.
Nice.
With our abandoned recovery tool. I'm just reading this here. We were reviewing the Google Analytics data and found something really interesting. The average session duration of Google Ads visitors to the website is 0.24 seconds, while organic in Google My Business is 1 to 3 or 3 to 4 times that long. The bounce rate for organic Google My Business is 30% lower than Google Ads. That's really cool. Organic Google My Business visits 65% more pages per session than Google Ads. So this is where we're converting at a lot quicker rate using the SEO and Google My Business versus Google Ads right now.
Cool. Christine, a question for you, because I was talking to, I thought Cal was on here, but he's not here now. I want to ask you the question. One of the things we were talking about earlier in one of our sessions was reviews and the importance of reviews. And I was told, and I want to get confirmation from a web person, that the better your reviews are, it dramatically helps your overall visibility for your Google Business Profile page. Is that correct?
That's correct. So there's a lot of things you can be doing, you know, to go up against the big boys, and reviews are definitely one of them. You want to respond to good and bad reviews and make sure that you're have a good review tool and soliciting those positive reviews as well.
I just looked, we had 281 rentals in February. I had 97 reviews. So
oh, that's great. How did you do that?
Just working with one of the vendors that helps push reviews out, and then also having our managers understand that when reviews are part of my bonus program for the managers, they understand that. But anytime they're interacting with a customer, we want to be talking about it. I was in a store the other day and helped get a rental, and Jim, it was actually funny that they were like hemming and hawing. I said, well, you know what? If you rent right now, I'll get you 50% of your first full month, because I know they're going to stay long term. Yeah. And they just signed the lease right there. And at the end of it, I said, Tara's the manager. It'd be really helpful if you could give her a good review so other people know how well Tara and the store took care of you. Guy goes, absolutely. I said, here, I'm going to text you the link, send them the link right from the software, and we got the review before you left the store.
Wow. Love it.
I mean, go ahead and say who you use. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, we're using storagereach.com for ours, and we've done. I mean, Cal has been really good for us. There's a lot of them out there, but if you use somebody, I mean, I don't care. They all have them. The websites now have them. There's companies out there to do these things, but if you're not using some type of automated review capturing program, and you want to make sure that they're doing text and email, and they have some kind of drip campaign that they can target you 3 or 4 times. I can tell you right now, we got it set up where we're actually going back in to our system and pinging customers that have been here a while that maybe have not got their review, and they know that, and then we're going to back and send another message to them. So again, I can't say that the 97 out of 281 all came from move-ins, but I don't care because I got 97 out of 281.
Yep, a review is a review, and I've done the same thing. I go back to my current foundation, my base of current customers. They don't have to be just move-ins, no, or move-outs.
Well, especially if you're helping somebody out, they got a problem with their door, they got a problem with the gate, and you help them out and you solve their problem. Man, I really appreciate it. Jim, I'm glad we can help you out. Would you mind if I sent you a text message so you could leave a review for us so other people know how well we take care of our customers?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny. It seems like every time we have these conversations, we always weave in reviews some way, shape, or form because it's that important. It totally is.
I mean, I think, Shannon, don't even XPS have some kind of review program, or Sherry? I thought Sherry's here. A review program that you guys integrate with the software.
Yeah, we integrate specifically with Bird Eye. So, and we actually are a reseller for that. So we could either integrate into that if you happen to be a Bird Eye client, or we can just offer that service to you through a reseller agreement. But yeah, I mean, you guys, especially for someone like us who's all we're doing is taking phone calls, it's a numbers game, right? You have to ask 100 people to get 10 people to click on it to get one to actually do a number of stars for you. And sometimes you have to ask multiple times. So we get that opportunity every time they call just to check their balance, right? If it's a good interaction, like you said, Jim, if you just helped them out, it's a good time to say, hey, would love to send you this link, right? And that Bird Eye makes that really easy. I'm sure Storage Reach does too. I know Podium does. There's all kinds of them that do it. Highly, highly recommend.
Look, you can do it yourself through your software. The only thing I'm going to tell you is make sure that when you send the link, whether it's text or email, make sure it winds up on the star page. Don't send them to your Google business profile page where they got to find a review, because people are lazy. Less clicks are better. So send them right to where they want to be. They click on the star rating and give you a good review. We actually have I was Greek House this week, and Tara said, listen, you know, I'm in a contest with my other stores, who's get the best. And if you could put my name in a review, that would be even better. We all know Google likes reviews. Reviews are great. Comment reviews are better, but personalized Google reviews are fantastic.
So are you really doing a contest on that, Jim, or is that just like how they're saying to get people to do it?
Well, think about it, Shannon. Every week I put out my weekly report, and they know who's got what. So it's bragging rights internally. Who got the most reviews?
Got it.
And you know, it's part of our bonus program. Every week gets $5 in the pot for that store. And periodically I'll do it where I'll say, okay, guys, for this month, if your name's in the review, it's $10.
I like that. Cool. That's one question I get so much, is just about bonuses. You know, how do you structure? And there's no right or wrong way, honestly. There's so many different ways to structure a bonus program. So I might steal that from you. I like that.
Jim, my bonus is really simple. It's based on rentals, retail lock sales, receivables, reviews, and then the Veritech upgrades. It's things the managers can control. I don't want to bonus them on NOI or because some of it they can't understand, some of it they can't control.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'd rather focus on the rental activity and base it off last year's data. So it's same month, year over year, so we know what we're up against, and put a little bump on it. And hey, here it is. It's yours. I mean, I can tell you this month I just finished my bonus calculation for 26 stores. We're paying out $5,700 in bonus.
That's great.
But you know what, Jim? My admin fee covered the entire bonus program.
Of course. That's the way it works. Do you mind though? Can you break it down just a little bit? Like you say, like per rental, what are you paying for that?
So it's up to the benchmark is worth $5 a rental. Over the benchmark, they become 10. Really simple. And they know what their benchmark is. Their benchmark is 1.05 of last year's rental numbers. So last year you did 10 rentals, your benchmark's 12 or 11. It's up against what you did last year.
It's a better your best system. Okay.
And the only caveat with mine is it all goes in the pool, and you earn 40% of it right away, but you have to earn the other 60% as you collect the receivables owed to the store. So if you don't do your job collecting the money for the store, you don't get all your bonus.
Gotcha. Okay. We have to put that in writing and show people, because I get that so much. In fact, I think Terry just listed. Can you list that bonuses? Again, the simpler the better. Otherwise, if you don't understand it, you're not going to do it. You're just kind of shooting in the dark. So the more focused that it can be, that's achievable and that's clear and simple to understand, goes a long ways when it comes to bonuses.
And we pay ours out monthly. So whatever you earn in February gets paid the second paycheck in March. So they know when it's coming. They can calculate it. And like if you're, at the end of the week, they were like, hey, I'm 3 rentals away from benchmark. If I get a couple more rentals, I get more bonus money. So they're pushing to get more rentals.
See, and that leads to the follow-ups that we were talking about before. And dovetails nicely right in with that, the reviews, all that stuff. Okay. We're gonna have to do that. I'm serious, because I think that'd be very beneficial for people. And I've done a number of different ways, and sometimes I do it at different stores. I do it different ways, kind of depending on my owners, kind of a thing. But I think
Dude, I tried numerous programs. I've tried different variations of it,
Yeah.
but I like the KISS method. Keep it simple. I always say keep it simple, stupid. My wife will yell at me and say you can't say that, but I do it anyway. But it's got to be something real and it's got to be something obtainable. Trisha's laughing because she's heard me say that before.
It's our show. We can say whatever we want.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. It's all good. All right, we only got a couple more minutes here, guys. I want to be mindful of everyone's time, so we're gonna an hour. If you any of the last questions.
So Joe put a comment in here about reviews and collection with a question mark. Joe, do you want to elaborate on your question? You want to hop on?
Sure. I was just asking about if you would put in writing your manager bonus program.
See, told you.
I know I didn't type fast enough.
Yeah, let's connect offline and we can talk about it. Yeah, we can
All right.
definitely talk about something like that. So yeah.
All right, it's the first of the month. Does everybody like my hat?
Rents due.
Perfect.
Yeah, because anybody on here anniversary date? If Peter Speckenagel was on here, I'd tell him he's wrong because he's anniversary.
That's why. So that's one of those debates that they have at the shows, like who's better, anniversary date or first of the month.
Tell you, I just like first of the month better because everything happens at the same time.
Especially when it comes to the remote sites, I think there's no argument when it comes to running remote sites. It's got to be first of the month.
Well, let's ask Shannon and Cherry. They're on here from XPS. Do you guys see a difference in call volume for first of the month versus anniversary?
Honestly, the anniversary billing, let's be honest, it tends to cluster around the first of the month anyway. So because people move at the first and the end of the month. But for sure, there's a whole lot more volume at that time. But I will also tell you that people call just to ask, when is my rent due? And as a call center, I know you don't want me to charge you to tell them you're due on the 21st, as opposed to if it's the first, they'll just call to ask their balance, I suppose. But I would say, if I had a facility and I was operating it, I can tell you I would do first of the month.
I'm the same, and one of the biggest reasons is if you're running remote, Jim, like you had asked, your boots on the ground isn't having to go out every single day to do lock checks, right? Or to do overlocks. They know certain days of the week exactly what they're going to be doing, and it's not going to be such a high demand to do that.
Yeah. We actually threw one out there during COVID because we're first month. We actually issued a prorate out policy that if you give us notice and payment prior to the first, I'll prorate you any given day of the month going out. We're one of the few that are doing that. But we found, especially during COVID, it got my units back faster. And we had people, we just did this month. We have a lot of people now because the first is a Friday, right? We've had people want to prorate on Saturday or Sunday. We're having them pay through Monday. I'll get my unit back. The customer's now happy. And if they miss their prorate, they owe the remainder of the month. So it's kind of a win-win for us. Yeah. We tried it during COVID. It kind of worked. Not everybody does it, but because some people don't give you notice, they just move on you. But it's something we've tried and it's kind of worked for us a little bit.
Perfect. Well, look at that. It's been an hour. Time flies when you're having fun.
Wow.
Right?
Crazy.
Seriously, guys, I really appreciate you guys showing up each week. Little homework assignment. Invite one more person next time. We're going to keep this, it slowly builds. That's what it is. So slowly builds on itself. So just find one other person you think it might get some value out of it. Invite them. More the merrier. It'd be fun. So any other parting words, Jim?
I will see people in next week in DC. Looking forward to seeing some faces. I know Shannon and Sherry are going to be there. Trisha, are you going to be there? How about Vegas in April?
No, my new physician, I don't really am going to go to many of them, I don't think, but Eric and Trevor will be there.
Good to see Eric's always good to catch up with. So,
yep.
Yeah, are you going? I see Pam on here. Are you going to be in DC next week or Vegas coming up? Oh, I know Christina's going to be there from Storagely. I know that. So,
yeah, we'll
and Max, you'll be there, right?
What's that?
Max Valton from Gate 5 is going to be there. So
yeah, I'll be in DC.
Looking forward.
Arrive lunchtime on Monday.
Very cool. I'll see you there.
Good, good. Yeah, between that and Vegas, we'll make the rounds.
And we got 2 weeks, right, Jim?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's 2 weeks. I was like, I had to look at my calendar. I'm like, am I flying already?
You scared me a little bit, Jim.
I know.
I actually flipped over to my calendar to be like, is that next week?
And we're
Thank you for
actually,
saying
Jim,
that, Christina.
we can have a DC wrap up because we're on the 15th that Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, really? There we go. Okay. That'd be kind of fun.
Jim, you just have to stop me. I have a funny story about the word stupid. I got to share it with you.
I know I'll see you there.
I'll see
Actually,
you there.
I think I have dinner we lived in Vegas, I think.
Yes.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
I tried grabbing Jim Ross, but he's got to pop in and pop out. So no dinner for you, Jim.
Yep. I'm there for the day. No, I'm there.
Another day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Wrap it
Thanks,
up.
everybody.
Take
Happy
care.
March.
Yeah.
Thank you.